Hey guys, just a quick video. I know it's been a while since I posted my last one. Things have been a little crazy, been teaching a lot and started seminary, so my life been definitely a little hectic. Hopefully now with the winter months coming in, I'll be able to get up here and do a few more videos and pay attention more to when people have comments. The comments on the last one I will get to today, I promise. Today, I want to talk about something that has been coming up a lot in the classes that I've been teaching. Even last month, the divination intensive that I taught with staff, it's come up with my pre-initiate students, and it does seem to be something that people just don't seem to understand the importance of, and I don't understand why it's coming up so often as it is, because quite honestly, Steph did a really good job in all of her books, kind of drilling it home. And I know it's been mentioned on a couple of her videos as well. And now I'm sure you guys are wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Well, it has to do with selecting your matron or patron. Everyone seems to think that it is a race. Who can get to the end first and who can say, I got mine, like you caught a Pokemon or something. Guess what? It's not a race. You don't win a prize if you get there before everybody else. It doesn't make you more cool if you have yours. It doesn't make you less cool if you don't know who it is. It's supposed to take you time. One of the greatest disservices that you can do to yourself and to the demonic, in my opinion, is to race in and choose your patron or matron too early on. And part of me can understand why people do that, because of how we are hardwired, but you don't know yourself and you don't know them well enough when you're just starting. When someone brought up the topic of finding your matron or patron during the divination intensive, Steph gave an amazing piece of advice that I could not agree more with. Her answer was basically, excuse me, you should work with at least, this is least, mind you, between 30 and 50 demons. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are going, that's an awful lot of demons to work with, Shay. Yeah, it is, but that's only a drop in the bucket as to how many demons there actually are out there. And when we say working with them, we don't mean memorizing their N and maybe putting their sigil under your pillow for 2 nights and going, yeah, I got it. I worked with them. It's not going to work. Or, yeah, it's wonderful. Working with them, getting to know them, takes time. It means invoking them, spending time with them every day for months at a time. That way you can get used to them, see how you feel when you're working with them. Do they make you feel a little jittery, or do you feel very peaceful, or do you feel fired up but in a good way? It means taking time and slowing things down. I think a lot of people jump into their selection early on for a couple of reasons. One might just be because they don't want to seem like they don't know who they are or who they're affiliated with, for lack of a better word. Probably not the best word, but it'll work. They don't want other demonologists to think less of them because they don't know who that demon is. I think another reason that people sometimes end up selecting the wrong one is because they mistake a mentor demon for their patron or matron. And I'm seeing this more and more. People who, after reading the complete book of demonology, suddenly, have an epiphany moment and realize they have been working with a demon, and then automatically shift to, I love them, they're wonderful, that's my patron or my matron. when that could be the furthest thing from the truth. It is quite possible that the demonic divine that led you to demonolatry may honestly have just been a mentor who was there to help you to learn something about yourself. Maybe you had been practicing this for a while but didn't realize that there was an actual name for it. And they tried to lead you to realize that you're not alone. Or perhaps they had been protecting you or watching over you for a while because they felt a kinship, but it was to help you learn something. Yes, our patrons and matrons definitely help us learn things, but mentors are there for that as well. And you can have multiple mentors while you still have a close relationship with your patron or your matron. They do not cancel each other out. My own experience with it, I could have gone in a couple of different directions in selecting and finally determining who my patron was. If I went back 20 some odd years ago to when I was a young, stupid black magician, I was part of a coven, and we were doing, well, our high priestess was supposed to be doing some astral work. My job that night and the subsequent night that we tried it again was just to be there to lend energy if necessary. But for whatever reason, spirit, what have you, said, no, we don't want to work with her. And one minute I was standing up, the next minute I was awake on the ground going, what happened? Because I was the one that got pulled in, which really pissed off our high priestess, especially since it happened twice, a couple of nights apart. But when I was, what I now realize was ascension, when I was on the demonic plane, I was approached the first time by one being, and the second time by the same being who brought a friend. And I basically got that, we want to kind of hang out with you. Can we come with you? That was more or less the gist. And was introduced to them as Nakshadil and Ishadil. I called them Nak and Ish. And I, being stupid with no discernment, something else we tend to drill into everybody, said, sure, why not? And to me, how they presented themselves were really kind of small-ish, not very powerful feeling, but in my limited capacity, I did call them my little demons. And they were the ones that I turned to when I felt that a friend needed to have someone keep an eye on them. I would ask them to keep an eye. Or at work, we had one coworker who was just a real royal pain in the ass. And this was when computers were on a token ring. So if you guys aren't old enough to know what that is, basically in the days of old, especially in businesses, all computers were connected together. So if one computer went down, unfortunately, everybody went down, and we wouldn't be able to access any of the server information. Everyone else would be on, but whenever she would get me really upset, I'd be like, oh, could you guys just go and do something with that computer? She's driving me crazy. Just harass her. And I would hear this little bit of giggling. And suddenly, this one woman's computer would no longer be able to access, but everyone else would have no problems. So to me, they were more impish, and that's how I kind of treated them. And over time, I became far closer to Ishadil, than I did with Nak, but Nak was still always there. That was when I was about 21 years old. Now we fast forward, and I'm in my early 40s. And Isha's energy at certain times in my life always seemed to be a little more prevalent. Through each of my miscarriages, I felt her energy more. The death of my daughter, I felt her energy really heavy. Even though at that time I was what I considered more pagan. But I felt her energy there trying to get me to move through that, go through that change and process and grow and not allow myself to be stagnant. In times where I felt the need to stand up for myself, to stand by my boundaries and set my line in the sand and not cross it, I felt her very much on my side, her and Lilith to a degree as well. But then, as I said, I hit my 40s, and had gone through many different paths to figure out where I was. And at that point, I had been working with more the darker energies and came across the complete book of demonology. And suddenly, every bell and whistle and light went off. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing. Awesome, I'm not alone. Continuing my studies, I came across the name Ereshkigal. And all the hair on the back of my neck stood up. And I honestly felt really stupid. Because as I said this name out loud, I felt Isha's energy suddenly right there. And of course, I couldn't turn and look at her, but I kind of turned and looked at her. Is this you? Yeah. I felt so small. I felt so stupid. Why didn't you tell me? I never treated you. Oh my gosh. Queen, underworld, demon, goddess. Oh crap. Maybe I didn't want you to know me that way. You didn't need to know me that way. You just needed to know me. She had been guiding me for 20 some odd years at that point. The feelings that I had towards her certainly magnified. And if at that point I hadn't taken a step back, I would have very easily have displaced some of my emotions onto her, and I probably would have said she must be my matron without realizing that she's not my matron. She certainly watches out, and she's been a guide and a mentor for many, many years, obviously, but she was not my matron. But if I had not read through several of Steph's books by that point, and I think at that point in time, I'd actually started messaging her a little bit on Facebook and emailing her. Another fire down the street, fantastic. Sorry about that. And having her say, you don't have to rush into it. Take your time. There's no race. Make sure you know yourself before you choose. I probably would have just said that it's got to be her. I'm going to dedicate myself and all of this stuff. I'm glad I waited, because little did I realize that there had been another that had been equally as present in my life, but I didn't recognize it. There had been signs, but when you're afraid of snakes and you have dreams filled with serpents and you feel like you're trapped on one of those old wooden picnic tables that we had in our backyard as a kid, you're not going to see it. When you're playing with your Ouija board and the speakers for your 8-track is unplugged, and when you say, is anyone there, a voice comes through the speakers that says, I've always been here, you're not going to hear it. It wasn't until, once again, my 40s when I started working with each of the demonic divinities, the 9 demonic divinities, when I started working with Leviathan and doing dream work and dream walking, because at that point I really didn't think I was ready for ascension, at least not ascension on my own terms, that it was the same voice when I started talking to him. And again, I had that, wait a minute, you've been around me at least since that was when I was like 13, that the voice came over the speakers. And he was like, yeah. It was also the one that made sure you didn't drown twice, that you didn't die when you took the fall from the horse that should have either left you dead or like Chris Reeve. Instead, you got up and walked away with the broken collarbone and a few ribs. And it's funny because I took that dump from my horse, I could not stay and train with my coach when the family went away on vacation. I had to go with my family. And there's not much you can do with a broken collarbone and a couple busted ribs. So I would spend the time with my mom or my dad just walking and looking at the yard sales and the flea markets and stuff like that. And I was drawn to this rhinestone, tacky, to be honest, 1980s style rhinestone snake bracelet that I just had to have. And I remember asking my dad, and he's like, you don't even like snakes. You freak out when you see them in the backyard. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I need this bracelet. Give me the $20. And because they felt so bad that my summer and fall show season was definitely ixnayed for foreseeable future, he gave me the money, so I got the bracelet. And I had that bracelet for years and years. I'm not sure where I lost it along the way. It must have just been meant for it to go on to somebody else. But instinctively, I was being drawn towards that, even though part of it scared me. And I did continue to work with the demonic divinities, but I kept getting pulled back. And it took a couple of years after that that I realized that it was Leviathan that was truly my patron. I still have the amazing tie with Erish Kigal, and I do still call her Ish, and with Lilith. People have asked how that works. My answer is quite well. I kiddingly kind of explain it. It's very simplified. It's like being the kid of divorced parents, only this is the kid of a menage a trois. So on Monday, Tuesdays, I'm like Lilith's, and on Wednesday, Thursdays, I go to Leviathan. On Friday, Saturdays, I'm Erishka Gals, and on Sundays, I just get to kind of be me. Which really isn't it, but it makes people chuckle and realize you can have a tight relationship with more than one. Leviathan is my patron. That is a choice that I have never doubted. But I think it's because I took time to realize and to really work with him and work with multiple demons to make sure that I wasn't missing another connection that was going to be a better fit for me. You have to take that time. Do yourself that, because you do not want to choose a matron or a patron and then at the very beginning, and then 3, 5, 10 years down the road realize I picked the wrong one. It's an awful feeling. I've seen students go through that feeling when they realize, oh, damn, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Why does that happen? Because much like with most humans, when someone helps you, you automatically kind of reflect love, feelings for them. It happens a lot with teachers, doctors, counselors, therapists, even clergy. Someone who is there and helps a person find their way or get through a rough time, they automatically go to love connection. But we have to remember there's two different, there is the in love with and the loving. You know, I can love a person and not be in love with them. And that's kind of, I think, the perspective that we should try to take when choosing our matrons or patrons. Could it be that first demon that you have that amazing flush? It is like love. It's like the first flush of love. You get excited and you feel good and, oh, it's got to be them. And maybe it will be them. Or maybe they are a teacher and a mentor to help shift you so that you can learn more about yourself and grow and change. And in that growing and changing, you find out who you really are supposed to be paired up with. There are so many ways of working with each of those demons. Ways that not only will help you determine if that connection is right to go into that matron or patron dynamic, but ways that you can also fulfill or bring positivity into other people's lives. Let's say you are considering that maybe your patron is a demon who brings financial stability. So let's look at, it could be Belial, it could be Clonic, it could be Belphegor. So what do you do with that, aside from invoking and giving offerings and prayer and meditation, and yes, sleeping with their sigil under your pillow so you can do some dream work? Well, why don't you grab a bunch of those pennies that we all seem to have around our homes, charge them with that demon's energy and drop them randomly throughout your day over the next week. You are becoming familiar to them and their energy and with them and their energy. You're bringing them into your life on a daily basis because as you're dropping that penny, you're going to think about them, maybe even intone their N quietly. And then when people pick it up, because people always pick up pennies, see a penny, pick it up all the day, you'll have good luck. Let's face it, I could do it too. You're now bringing that prosperity into their lives. Maybe it's going to help them see possibilities for a new job. Maybe it's going to give them the courage to start their own business or to ask for a raise so that way they think that their life is not so tight financially. And then when they pass that penny on, now it's moved to somebody else. So you're putting goodwill out into the world and you're bringing that energy to other people, and it's also infusing you. Or maybe you're thinking about working with the deaf demonic. Can't go around doing necromancy 24/7. So what do you do with that? Okay. Go to your local store, pick up a couple of bouquets, doesn't have to be expensive bouquets at all, and go to a cemetery. Look for the graves that seem to be lonely. There's no flowers, or maybe there's some weeds, or they're just really, really, really old. Living in New England, we have some very old cemeteries, and I'm sure many of the families have by now either died out or moved away, so there's some very old graves on sites that don't get a lot of attention. Go and put a flower on each of those graves. Now that is a beautiful way of honoring Anubis or Uri or Bifrons. If you want to do Bifrons, maybe go with tea lights and light a tea light on those graves. Just put a little tea light candle and light it, since he lights candles to help guide the newly dead to where they're supposed to be. You can even do that with Erishkigal, especially the graves of children, those who died at birth or shortly after birth within their first year, since she does have a particular interest in those who died before knowing love or really having a chance to get to know love very well. That's another way of bringing their energy in, and you're honoring them and you're working with them in a way that you're going to get so much more out of than just sitting at home meditating on them. And wow, my video has gone longer than I expected, so I apologize for that. But this is something that I think is important for everyone to realize and come to acknowledge that, once again, it's not a race. It is worth the time that you take on yourself to get to know them. Because let's say you've gone through all those 50 and you've narrowed it down to 2 or 3, and now you're going to work again with them, and you're going to go in a little bit deeper with each of them. And hopefully by the time you've worked through 50 demons, if you're giving them several weeks to a month each, you've now given yourself a couple of years worth of experience. And now hopefully you'll be able to do something like Ascension, or your divination skills have gotten stronger so you can do divination work with them. And doing a divination style that is affiliated with their element is another fantastic way of working them into your life so you get to know them. But now you have created, even when you just get down to that one, you have created a working relationship with 30 to 50 demons. So when you need help with, say, your health, it's not that you're going to go up to Vareen very timidly like, hey, I know you don't know me and I don't really know you, but could you maybe help me with this health thing? Instead, you'll be able to go and be like, Vareen, your energy helped me in this way when we worked with each other. I could use your help even more. It's not that the demons are looking for fluffiness or accolades to get them to work with us. But my experience, and yours may vary, Steph's may vary, is that when you have a working relationship with them, the results that you get when you go to work with them on things that are truly important to you, the results are faster, they're stronger, and they seem to have more of a staying power. At least that's been my experience. Not to say that I haven't been able to work with demons, on the first time and have good results, but I don't do that very often. I do try to build up a relationship. So please take your time choosing your matron or patron. And know that there are going to be, hopefully, dozens of different demons that come into your life to help you to grow, to change, to learn, to help you through a problem or an obstacle or a challenge. And then they will fade back. And take each of those experiences and opportunities to build a fantastic relationship with them too. It only is going to make you a stronger, more competent magician and demonologer down the road. Don't shortchange yourself, because it's just not worth it. You are worth putting the time and effort in. And if you can't see that in yourself, why should the demonic see that in you? Maybe that's fatal, a little bit fatalistic, but that's me. So on that note, since I'm at almost 30 minutes, I will say goodbye. And I hope that this helps give you an idea of why it's important to wait and why you should take your time. And remember, you're not racing anybody. This is just you. You're the only one out on that course. No one's judging you. No one's got a stopwatch. It's you. So make it a leisurely stroll and learn everything that you can about what's around you, who comes into your life, and what you can do with your life. And that's about it. I hope everyone has a fantastic week, and that the rest of the year, since we're already on October 15th, goes well for each of you. If you have any questions, you guys know where to find me. Take care and have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.